Welcome everyone to our weekly live session as usual. The date is Saturday, October 30th, and we've just concluded the month of October. Pretty crazy month. A lot happening. Not to mention, as you can see, market is a little bit all over the place. I've mentioned it kind of multiple times past 2 weeks, but you're seeing a lot of uncorrelation in between equity names. So something to note. Also, we just got past some of the major earnings. Big tech. And a lot of them, as I mentioned as well in the group chat, you did see a bit of a trend, a lot of names selling off. One, because of kind of the levels they're at in the current market, and then also a lot to do with the chip shortage and supply chain issues. You'll see some businesses heavily affected by it, some businesses slightly affected, but it is impacting numbers, and more so it's impacting guidance. So future guidance going forward over the next quarter or few quarters is being impacted. So the capital markets are taking this into account in the future value, and discounting that slightly. So it's pretty notable there. We'll discuss that on a little bit later. We do have quite a few earnings this week as earnings season continues. So some of the pretty notable ones that I'll be watching: Square on Thursday after hours, same day Uber, Airbnb, Peloton, Cloudflare, and Pinterest. I think Pinterest is one to watch. I think Pinterest will be heavily affected by their earnings call, which I think many will be listening to. I think a lot of analysts will be asking the questions regarding the so-called, apparent buyout of Pinterest by PayPal that was kind of floating around, past 2 weeks. I think we'll get a lot of questions about that. There were rumors that other companies were looking to purchase Pinterest, so I think they'll get a lot of questions regarding that management, and they'll kind of go ahead and answer and execute there. Some other earnings that are notable: DraftKings Friday pre-market, Coinbase Friday pre-market as well. Coinbase might be a big one given the crypto rally. Canopy Growth in the marijuana sector, Goodyear, all reporting Friday pre-market. Moderna reporting Thursday pre-market. Nikola as well reporting Thursday pre-market. Lightspeed, a big one, that's reporting Thursday pre-market as well. Wednesday after hours, we have Roku, Qualcomm, Skills, a former SPAC, Fastly, Etsy, all reporting Wednesday after hours. Etsy, will have some correlation with Pinterest. So that's one to watch. Pfizer reporting Tuesday pre-market, BP as well, Estee Lauder, T-Mobile, Zillow, Activision, all reporting Tuesday after hours. So some kind of big tech names there: Activision, Zillow as well. Chegg in the learning space, online learning space, reporting Monday after hours, right off the bell. And Trivago reporting Monday pre-market. So a few earnings. Also Corsair reporting Tuesday pre-market, which tends to move a lot on earnings. So quite a few earnings. Not too many big ones, but the main ones I think I'll be watching on my end are Square, Pinterest, and Airbnb, just because of their current situation in the market, their current price levels. I think those should perform pretty well. And I'm looking for a run up into earnings as well. DJ's End, I know he's watching Uber, which is also reporting same day after hours. So those are some that I'll have an eye on this week. But yeah, Tesla, pretty notable this week. Reached an all-time new all-time high and is continuing to run. We did reach a new all-time high as well after hours. Moving pretty significantly, about almost 1.3% after hours to close the after hours session on Friday at 11:28:15. So pretty good. I'll touch on this one later, but I think this one can move quite a bit, over into the end of the year. So I might take some kind of longer positions to even add on my existing Tesla equity position. It's pretty large and going forward. So I'll discuss that a little bit later. But also we have lucid deliveries happening right now. Possible to get a kind of sell the news on Monday. um, on these delivery numbers. So, watching that. Also, we're entering the month of November. In the beginning of the month, you will see some delivery numbers, also in the EV space being reported. So that's one to watch. We are entering a new month as well, and we are 2 months away from the end of the year. So I'll discuss my thoughts on that, and I'll let DJ discuss it as well. But I think it's possible to kind of see, in my opinion, a beginning of a sort of melt up phase um, leading into the end of the year, given where we're at and the fact that we are kind of entering the last 2 months of the year. And we've kind of followed last year's trend, at least in September and October. In the earlier half of October, which I mentioned, that's when I was going short, beginning September. So it's possible that we kind of saw that trend repeat, but the only difference is that we have gotten that quite a bit of a rally this end of October. So to close out the month, so I'll be watching. I think these next kind of 2 weeks are a little bit more critical, and then I think it's kind of imminent that December, end of November, December, we always seem to have that Santa Claus rally, as it's coined, or Christmas rally, where we kind of rally into the end of the year. So we'll touch on that a little bit later on. But yeah, a lot going on in the markets right now. Markets are pretty volatile and kind of all over the place. So we'll discuss our further thoughts on that. For now, I'll just pass it on to DJ, who will go over his usual SPY analysis.
Yeah, so definitely a crazy week and a very bullish month as well. Especially the week, we saw multiple poor earnings from large tech, as Ramji mentioned earlier, but the indices seem to hold up quite significantly. And although there were days where the majority of the QQQ was red, it would be held up by a few individual tickers, notably Microsoft, Google, Tesla, NVIDIA this week, on Netflix as well, outperformed very hard. And those stocks pretty much single-handedly brought both SPY and QQQ to new all-time highs. And now we really have this pretty much this really is the melt up kind of phase. We are kind of rapidly increasing here. It's not really a slow pace. For those of us following the markets, you can tell the volume and the percentage gains has picked up significantly across the board. There are individual runners like 4 to 10% per day, which is not something we've seen for the last quarter or two. Right, Tesla putting in like a 15% day, right? That hasn't happened in a long time. NVIDIA up like 20% as well, and all-time highs on many stocks in general, and especially right here. Um, SPY daily chart. Ever since we kind of had this pullback, we've been downtrending. Kind of see this trend going down, and this was the initial turn. And ever since we kind of broke the all-time highs around this area, it's been extremely strong, and we're continuing this really sharp kind of uptrend towards the final leg up. And if we also see both the daily EMA and middle Bollinger Band has been sloping down for the past month or so. This sharply rebounded, like we were heading into a downwards channel where SPY was getting pushed down. This is really 180'd ever since we found the bottom of this day with the higher low. You can see the daily EMA is currently sloping very rapidly. Like on this current projection, this current upwards projection on SPY, like we would be looking very quickly to hit like new all-time highs, like 460s, 470s, like very, very quick, because at the current pace, SPY is pretty much going up like 2 or 3 points every single day, because if it doesn't, it will intersect the daily EMA, in which it will likely kind of drop back, and we will enter a new kind of consolidation phase, similar to like this area over here where we had this move up, quite aggressive move up here, and then once it kind of tops out because the price action can't hold up with the price indicators, we see a bit of a correction down once we slope under the daily EMA. We could see even back then, like just the speed and the slope of this was not very rapid, whereas this is straight up pretty much like elevator up. Like the speed and sheer acceleration is very, very quick, which basically means, if we drop the daily EMA, we are going to consolidate and we're going to cool down quite significantly. And if we don't, we're going to be hitting all-time highs every single day, rapidly and rapidly. And yeah, so the key here is really just the daily EMA here. To be honest, if we retest this and cool off, we'll probably see a weaker to a consolidation in early November before most likely further upside. If we don't drop this, it just be continuing to see day after day stocks pushing all-time highs, blasting 3-4%, kind of gap ups everywhere across the board. Personally, I do think we might not get it on Monday, but I do think sometime by mid next week latest, we will see some sort of pullback, because just although it's the melt up, I don't think it's really the climax peak of the melt up yet. So I'm not expecting to just shoot straight up to like 480 on SPY by any means. I do think we will kind of cool off a bit very quickly, just a minor kind of cool off before we kind of really rock it up. But I don't think we're doing this final leg up starting from 430 base on SPY. I think we need a base around 450 levels. We kind of really shoot up the final leg, and I think consolidation is kind of overdue on it. A weekly chart, 4 green weeks in a row. We're now approaching weekly upper balling ground SPY. Not too much to cover. It's just if it continues, it will continue, but we are getting definitely overextended near the top of the current rally. So we should most likely see about a week of red somewhere within the next 2 weeks, and it needs to kind of cool off and base a higher low before we kind of make the next leg up. If we kind of continue without consolidation, we might be able to hit 465, 470 on SPY, but then I could very well just kind of push it to a pretty big temporary top where we dump very hard. If we wanted like a sustained rally, it would be better if we pulled back a couple percent before kind of launching from the new base. By monthly chart, this is what's important, as well as QQQ, which I'll cover later. The monthly chart is really what's important. Mentioned after week, pretty much we are literally just holding the monthly EMA ever since the COVID and the printing started. So we've held this throughout the entirety of the in the entirety of the entire bull market, pretty much created by the stimulus printing. And so um, what's notable is we uh, tested the monthly EMA this month in October, and we pretty much bounced right off it. Did test this multiple times early on throughout the last year and a half. Um, we would test it, we would bounce off, and then once we confirmed the bounce off, we would continue to shoot all-time highs. This is notable because we were already, super overextended, almost 80 RSI on the monthly, and there is a real chance if we drop this monthly EMA, I said that the top could be in on the bull run if we drop this, because it'd be the first um, time it has happened in the last 15 months. So it's very likely the top would be in if this dropped, and we'd be looking for bounces. But because this held, and not only just held, we held the monthly EMA support here, and we pretty much closed a brand new all-time high on the month. This makes it very unlikely to backtest all the way back down during the month of November, and pretty much I would say it looks something similar to um, this month. We kind of fresh backtest it and we break all-time highs. It really creates quite a bit of room now until that monthly EMA, so it kind of continues the uptrend. So just based on the monthly chart alone, it's looking November should be bullish. We might get some bit of early pullback or whatnot, maybe a higher low to start out the month. But it's looking like just on the monthly chart alone, um, SPY is headed towards all-time highs, 470 plus levels in November. Kind of seems inevitable unless we get some sort of massive immediate tapering news, which I don't expect will happen this year. We are headed pretty much higher. QQQ. Daily chart, is similar to SPY. We pretty much straight 180 rallied since this day, and massive day on Friday. Came close to testing the daily EMA, and then completely just shot above it. This channel is also very aggressive to the upside. So, like I said, um, as long as it holds the daily EMA, currently 379 on QQQ, this thing is gonna shoot up very, very rapidly. And any signs that we don't last all-time highs and we kind of slow down and kind of fade sideways and flat is hinting towards short-term consolidation, because it means it's closer and closer to price intersection. Weekly chart, pretty much same thing, right? Broke out all-time highs and looking for continuation during the week. We might even see a beginning rally where we break the weekly upper band during the week. Same thing on SPY, and then proceed to pull back near the end of the week, just because quite overextended. There's a chance we'll break kind of weekly resistances on both indices, kind of squeeze early throughout the week, and then we kind of drop it and backtest below it. I do expect pullback, but a very small pullback. If we are kind of continuing this rally up, we should not drop below the weekly EMA again, like we did previously. If we're looking for continuation and straight kind of parabolic melt up, any pullback should hold the weekly EMA. So we're looking at like 3.5% max on the pullback. Any more than that would kind of slow things down. And if we're really rocketing on the final leg, things won't really be slowed. So pullback should be kind of swift and quick, and only minor, because any dips bigger than that will kind of dissolve the momentum. Moving on to Uber, swing trade earnings play not working out too well right now. A bit surprised, to be honest. We're not really rallying into the earnings, which is unexpected because they're supposed to report their first profitable quarter. So I expected more of a rally into earnings. The reopened stocks have been getting hit recently pretty hard, like the airlines and the cruises. So Uber is technically a kind of class of the reopened stock as well. So the correlation is kind of selling off, but I did think individually it would do better. But anyways, Thursday is earnings. They're still expected to report pretty well. We're pretty much trading at price that we were trading at when it first announced, I guess ahead of time, the good quarter. So it's pretty much, I feel like, more or less the bottom. There is a massive gap here. This gap should not fill at all unless um, the earnings is straight up horrible and the CEO just kind of pumped it and it's a total lie. But I think we hold. We are below the daily Bollinger Band here, so we are kind of oversold here. I'm expecting, if anything, I think we just kind of recover on Monday, but if anything, I expect some sort of a rally back to $45 before the earnings. Don't do that. It's surprising. So a bit of a like mini trend up here, and which turned bearish. So something like this might be possible, but even if this is kind of a bearish trend, I do anticipate some sort of bounce back here pre-earnings. So um, yeah, even in a bearish trend, as long as nothing too horribly goes wrong, I still do think by Tuesday or Wednesday, or yeah, almost like about Wednesday or Thursday, it should kind of bounce back to around the $45 range. Um, and I think if we kind of just average down on Monday, or not even average down, I'm pretty sure the calls will kind of recover to at least break even by that if we follow this. So not too overall worried. Probably going to drop half the position regardless. Whether it's a loss or gain, half the position, if not maybe 75% of the position before earnings, because I don't like playing earnings for the most part because of the IV. But I'll kind of make that decision as we head closer to earnings and see what the premiums are. And then Meta, like ETF, I learned some like a lot of calls on it. I actually think this is pretty good. I think it's actually a pretty good, relatively safe, low risk play, especially if you entered this week. I mean, it's pretty much just literally the only reason for this play is because um, Facebook rebranded to Meta, and this is literally the exact ticker Meta. So, and it's not only the exact ticker, but it's also a metaverse ETF, which is pretty much what Facebook wants to rebrand as Metaverse. So it's literally got the exact symbol and the right sector, you could say, as well. And if you zoom out, there's actually quite a stable ETF where we haven't really dropped too much ever, and we haven't really risen up a long time. All-time highs is 1545, in which we're literally 1% from all-time highs on this ETF. Premiums are very, very cheap. And it's very clearly Thursday and Friday. If you just look at the volume accumulation, it's almost like 1020x volume, because people are kind of buying it in anticipation of any sort of metaverse pump or metaverse movement and momentum. So the risk is quite low because the downside is quite minimal because premiums are cheap and it doesn't really move too much to begin with. Whereas, so worst case, if nothing happens after a week or two, probably just sell the calls at break even or maybe like 10% loss, if anything, on leaps. Whereas the upside is quite significant because if any sort of kind of pump or momentum starts going and we break, 1545 all-time highs and we shove to like 16 or 17 or something like that, the IV will spike very hard on the premiums because suddenly everybody chases kind of runners. So when it's not running, no one's kind of on it. When it starts running, everyone's on it. And because the premiums are so cheap, price doesn't even necessarily need to go up a lot. I feel like if we go up 5%, the price action, that's probably enough to justify a 50% move on leaps. It's around 10x the percentage. So I think it's a pretty good play in general. And it's also, I think it's pretty important to dictate if we'll see moves in small caps next week, particularly metaverse kind of stocks. There are some kind of tickers going around, and I think if this ETF kind of starts moving rapidly, then those kind of small caps will gain more traction. But anyways, that's it from me this week. So I'm gonna pass it over to Ramg for him to cover his stuff.
Yeah, as DJ mentioned, yeah, we're going pretty rapidly on SPY, so I think we could see some consolidation, but definitely we looks like it's pretty imminent that we kind of have a end of year rally as usual. So continuing to watch that. So I would kind of just kind of flip kind of massively bullish. Going into the end of the year, we currently do have some monthly December puts on my end on SPY. Just kind of where it's situated, I think it's a good risk reward at the current levels we're at on SPY. So yeah, I mean, I'm continuing to hold that. It's just down a bit, but I think that it's sort of a good risk reward. I think this next week or two is pretty crucial in the beginning of November. And I think if we kind of see some, strength and some kind of without, too bearish consolidation, then I think I would just kind of flip bullish and re-enter leaps. I had leaps before, and we kind of, when we rallied, following, going bearish in September, in the beginning of September, rode the puts down, and then started entering leaps, and those went up a significant amount. March calls were I think 3x, I think, so pretty good there. I would go with possibly the same ones, or I might go a little bit more into June, so we could hold it kind of through the new year, and go around February, March before kind of selling and have that time value there. So that 3 months time value. So I'll look at the premiums and decide, but I think that would be the kind of way to go, and that's what I'm thinking of. So that would be the same kind of base position, base long position. So larger, capital allocation, and just kind of hold long. So that looks good. QQQ, I posted the chart in the group as we are kind of breaking out of here, out of this trend line, and kind of squeezing, and we kind of rallied past 2 weeks. So QQQ, same thing with SPY, just kind of a massive move up following the bearish move that we had in September. And kind of relating this to the overall market, I think, we could see sort of a, even more massive move following some consolidation, and going into the end of the year, kind of on a melt up kind of phase where we kind of just melt up into the end of the year. I think it kind of lines up with the timeline of, as I mentioned, I kind of look at Q1, kind of, where tapering concerns start to kind of hit the market. And I think this would kind of line up with it, similar to the previous year, where we see sort of an end of the year rally moving into February, and March is kind of a downwards move following kind of a top in around February. So I think we could see the same thing, and transitioning that to Tesla, I think we could see the same thing on Tesla as well. So Tesla, massive move. We broke all-time highs, broke 1,000, and continued up, and we closed at 11:14 after hours, as I mentioned, almost 11:30, 11:28, 15. So pretty significant move. I mentioned, the option market has a lot to do with it. We were seeing, massive moves in the option market. I mentioned, this past Friday, we're going to see some volatility. We did see that volatility, which was the closing move, as we just kind of, rallied into close. on Tesla. This is market makers, kind of closing out the contracts and going neutral into the end of the month, and also coincidentally the end of the week on Tesla on these calls, puts, whatnot, all these option contracts. So really massive moves in the option market, which I think had a lot to do with the move as well. Obviously, initially fueled by the Hertz news, but then we see, just massive inflows into the option market on Tesla. I posted a stat, almost half of the action in the options market was directly on Tesla options. So, um, pretty significant there. And you see the IV bump as well. You'll see, as we were rallying initially. Even I was watching some puts, gain in value, because of the kind of premium jump as well. So, pretty massive move, and I think that it's actually possible that even with Tesla as well. I think it's possible that we get a real kind of melt up phase as well. So we kind of continue, kind of a crazy rally. And I think it kind of relates into the overall market as well. And as I always kind of mention, Tesla is sort of a leader in the market. It's sort of, is a big major component in the market. So I think if we kind of, move in that direction, it will impact the overall market. And I think it's pretty possible that we see, a kind of major rally continue, but I think we would need to kind of sort of consolidate a bit. The last time we had RSI at this level, on the daily, is February 2020. So, that's right before, the COVID-19 correction. So, I mean, I think we can kind of sort of consolidate a bit. We kind of have to with RSIs at these levels. If we consolidate, RSIs would kind of cool off from there, and then we could continue further up. I think at the levels we're at currently, I think, next target 1200, and when we get to targets like 1200, also what we're looking at as well is, the possibility of a another split that's possible as well, right? So, if you look at Tesla's previous split, they split just under 1400. So it was in between 1300, 1400. So, I think you'd be looking at sort of a similar decision by management. Also, because when you're reaching that 1 trillion mark, and when you're reaching the levels where Tesla's at right now, um, from a management standpoint, you're looking to preserve the stock price. And one way to preserve the stock price when you're at exponential levels like Tesla's at right now is to do a stock split, because you're consolidating the stock essentially. And you're able to hold more of those gains, and it will imminently rally, on the announcement of a stock split. So I think a stock split is really possible, if we kind of continue in this direction, which I think we will. So, massively bullish on Tesla. I think with this move that we saw and the rally, I do see the emergence of shorts again, like we kind of seen. We haven't really seen for a while because of this sort of consolidation phase since February of the beginning of the year, and the downwards move we had since then, and then the reversal back up from the mid 500 levels. But it was a sort of slow reversal, but now we are kind of getting that massive move, right? And I think we're seeing larger, shorter interest. I'm seeing more shares borrowed as well. So, with that, we have a lot of catalysts as well going forward into the end of the year, and I think it's massively possible that we get a really large rally. And if there is a split, that is announced, if there is a possibility of a split, that would be the largest catalyst of all to propel it going forward. So, Yeah, just kind of continuing to watch Tesla. If we do get, which I think we sort of will, I think we could get possibly a move to 1200, given that we've made that move after hours to almost 1130. And if we do consolidate, I think going in some sort of a few months out, leaps are actually a pretty good play from a risk reward standpoint, and I think I would pick up some of those to kind of hold long, in addition to share position I have going forward into the end of the year, and moving into February as well. Also, what's notable is that Tesla seems to consolidate during that spring fall time, and the winter months it seems to rally. Deliveries are good during this time as well, and also we have earnings that will be coming up as well, next quarter earnings, so that will reflect it, and I think it should look good. Texas factory coming along as well, another catalyst that can be a really good catalyst going forward if we are able to sort of get production going on Texas factory sooner than later, so maybe sometime in the next few months before the end of the year. So Tesla, I think, really good opportunity. I will be watching it, and I'll alert as usual. Some short-term positions and long-term positions there. Airbnb, earnings this week. We have the chart kind of squeezing here, so I think it's pretty good for a rally into earnings. It's at a low point right now, so I think just a great risk reward play here. So I entered some a position for earnings there. Um, Square as well, also, really just, in range, just flat. We're at the same levels we were, beginning of the year. No real movement. Square is a stock I'm massively bullish on, really massively bullish on, long term. Really like the company and the direction that they move in, the corporate decisions they make. I think Jack Dorsey moves this company really in a great direction. I think their outlook and their plans for the future, and their implementation of their past, previous new products where they're moving into crypto is really good. So, massively bullish on this company. I'm actually thinking I mentioned, entering leaps, just to kind of hold long, just because of how we've just been kind of in a range, stuck for the past year. So I think if we do sort of make a move, it will be a large move. When you're kind of consolidating for that long, when you do break out, you break out large. And Square is not really a small cap, but yeah, so that's sort of the longer term perspective, just because of where we're at. I think this is really great. I mentioned I'll be adding shares as well. Maybe wait till after earnings, but anyways, this, even just where we're at currently, same thing with Airbnb, just great risk reward going into earnings. I think I would even possibly hold through earnings, but I think this play is more of a shorter term play, just run up into earnings. So Square earnings this week, I think there'll be a lot of eyes on earnings there. Moving into the crypto space, we've just kind of been consolidating. We had sort of a flash crash, which was a little bit odd. No news, nothing. Just a crash, and I mentioned, I don't know what it is, but if we are going lower, I'll just be buying. Price target on Bitcoin remains the same, 75K first price target. I think we can reach it. Continuing to hold. I picked up some on the dip, around 58,000, I believe. Sold at all-time highs, just below all-time highs, around 65,000, and bought back. Still massively long. Bitcoin should move, continue to move in the right direction. First price target 75,000. I think we will reach it. I think we could reach it before the end of the year, in my opinion. So, watch for that. People kind of continue to insinuate that I don't know who's buying it at 60K. I don't know who's buying it 75K, 100K. It's definitely not institutions, but they are wrong. You're seeing big block buys in Bitcoin, and I think a lot of institutions are starting to see it how I'm seeing it, as a digital gold. And when you're looking at digital gold, it's not too much the individual price that matters; it's sort of the value there. And I think institutions will be buying at 100K, 75K, whatever price, whatnot. So, yeah, I think that's where people are mistaken on the retail end. Continuing to view Bitcoin as a crypto, where, as I kind of, have been reiterating, week after week, Bitcoin is a digital gold. So, that's where the fundamental value is here. So, yeah, continuing to hold long Bitcoin, 75K price target there. ADA, we had sort of that same flash crash, and we went low 180s. So I mentioned I picked up 185, and then yeah, ADA was a little bit higher, but I mentioned to pick up. We're currently sitting just under $2. This has been kind of on a slow move down. A lot going on with the developments on the internal end, kind of the back end. So a lot to go on ADA. So continuing to sort of buy back from our sells at all-time highs. And yeah, also massively bullish on ADA as well. But not too much to go over. That's about it for me this week. Just to reiterate, watching earnings this week, main watch on Square, Pinterest, Airbnb, DJ for Uber. So those are the main watches this week. I'll also watch, how Lucid moves. They are having their first deliveries as we speak in California. I think we could possibly see, a sell the news. We had a pretty massive move this past week, so we could see a sort of pullback, sell the news sort of move, or we could see some kind of analyst, cover the delivery aspect, and yeah, kind of mentioned their thoughts on the quality of the vehicle, what they saw, customers' reaction, customer reviews, etc. So you may see some traction in Lucid. Going into the end of the year, I think Lucid might perform well. Going into next year, I think once they actually get their numbers reporting, I think then you'll see sort of some bearish sentiment, as I don't think they'll reach their production numbers. So that's more of a longer term future play. But yeah, also keeping a big eye on Tesla. Tesla's just a major mover in the market currently, and as I mentioned, my thoughts on Tesla. I think once we get to those lower 1,000 levels, the conversation of a stock split will come, not just on the retail end, but I think serious talk in management that can come. I think it'd be beneficial for Tesla as well, because they can preserve their capital gains that the stock has accumulated throughout the past year and past 6 months. So I think it'll be a good move. So I think it can be possible for Tesla to pursue another stock split if we kind of continue up. Given where we are at currently, I think it might not be a 5-to-1, but it'd be something even like a 4-to-1, 3-to-1, 2-to-1, something to sort of consolidate the price a bit, and be able to hold its gains. So yeah, definitely a big watch on Tesla, and also keeping an eye on indices to see if we sort of make the move down and consolidate. And look at some of these big tech names as well. So Google, performing extremely well, very strong, new all-time highs. So watching that. Microsoft as well, overtaking Apple as the most valuable company in the world, exceeding the almost 2.5 trillion market cap. So big move there. But yeah, that's about it. So we'll update you guys in regards to positions. We'll update the alert tracker as well. Post a new Excel in the group, and I'll pin it for everyone. So I hope everyone has an amazing remainder of the weekend, and take care, guys. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Yeah, take care, everyone. Cheers.